My sister was diagnosed with leukemia, and she needed a huge amount of money for the surgery. I had no choice but to start working as a host at the Oasis Club to earn it for her. A client, Miss Scott, requested Jason Carter to drink with her, but she only had me sing on the side to set the mood. After my shift, this mercurial young woman actually voice called me, asking me to sing to her until dawn. She offered me $5,000 for one night. For the sake of my sister's medical bills, I agreed to her bizarre request. But when she had to choose between me and Jason, she deleted my contact without a second thought. She said I was just a substitute, someone to sing her to sleep. The first time Rose Scott visited the Oasis, she was immediately taken with Jason Carter. She chose Jason to drink with her, yet she also requested me to be there, singing off to the side to liven things up. In the private room, she confessed to him, "Jason, I've liked you for a long time. Will you be my boyfriend?" Jason turned her down. "I appreciate the offer, Miss Scott, but my job is just to drink with you." While the two of them were wrapped up in their drama, I was stuck in a corner, singing for them like some background character. The song was Under Mount Fuji, Rose's request. After I finished it once, Rose turned back to me and commanded, "Don't change it. Just sing that one. Keep it on repeat." I was groaning internally. I had no idea why she was so obsessed with Under Mount Fuji. Rose and Jason went back and forth for another half hour before she finally lost her patience. "Fine, you'll only drink with me, is that it? Then tonight, you're going to drink until you drop." She pointed to the rows of shot glasses on the table. "Drink," she told Jason. "Let's see how much you can handle. I'll give you $1,000 tip for every shot you take." Hearing that from the sidelines, my eyes lit up. Why couldn't I get a deal like that? I wanted to drink too. $1,000 a shot. That was an insane amount of money. Jason clearly thought so too, because he started downing them without a word. By the 10th shot, he couldn't handle it anymore and ran out, hand over his mouth, to throw up. Rose just leaned back on the sofa with her legs crossed, looking completely unimpressed. I cautiously edged closer. "Miss Scott, how about I drink in his place? I'll do it for 500 shot." She didn't even glance at me. "Get back to your song and don't stop." When Jason returned, he started drinking like his life depended on it, eventually putting away more than 20 shots and walking away with over $20,000 in tips. And me? I sang Under Mount Fuji dozens of times until my voice was raw, and all I got was a little over 1,000. The comparison was brutal. For the next several days, Rose came in looking for Jason, spending over $10,000 each time. But even with her throwing all that money at him, Jason still refused to be her boyfriend. Then, suddenly, Rose stopped coming. It seemed like she had given up. I teased Jason about it. "Man, you really broke that poor girl's heart." Jason, applying foundation to his face, looked completely unconcerned. "Whatever. I've got plenty of clients. Losing one doesn't make a difference." TSK, what a brag. But Jason really had the right to be arrogant. He was handsome, skilled with makeup, and cultivated a cool, aloof persona that his female clients found irresistible. One morning, I got home so exhausted I could have passed out on the floor. Just then, I got a voice call. I looked at the screen. It was Rose Scott. Her voice was soft and a little slurred. "I can't sleep. Sing for me. I'll pay you." I was stunned for a second. Was this for real? But she mentioned money, so I agreed. "Okay, Miss Scott, what would you like to hear?" "Under Mount Fuji." I frowned. That song again. What was her obsession with it? Was she some kind of die-hard fan of the artist? Whatever. As long as the money was good, the client's wishes were my command. Ahem. I cleared my throat. "The rain that blocks the path is like the snow. Are you cold as you quietly weep?" I finished the song a few minutes later. She ordered, "Keep singing. Don't stop. Even if I fall asleep, don't stop." This was insane. You couldn't even work a mule that hard. I was about to refuse when a notification for a $2,000 transfer popped up on my phone. "If I can still hear you singing when I wake up," her message read, "I'll add another 3,000. I pursed my lips and silently accepted the money. This was more than I'd make in several days at the Oasis. For that $5,000, I sang that song over and over until I felt sick. I lost count of how many times I sang it. The sky outside was beginning to lighten when her voice came through the phone again. "Okay, I'm awake. You can stop now." Thank God. I was finally free. After we hung up, Rose sent the other $3,000. I slept really well. Thank you. Reading that message, I felt a little warmth inside. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. The truth was, her precious Jason was already being kept by a wealthy businesswoman in her 40s. When his patron was busy, he worked shifts at the Oasis. When she was free, he wanted to be with her. He was making money from both ends and had already saved up over $1 million. His goal was to save enough to buy a house outright as soon as he could. A man that focused on his goal was never going to be interested in a young woman like Rose. I even asked him about it once. Rose is young, beautiful, and rich, and she's crazy about you. Are you sure you don't want to give a shot? Jason lit a cigarette. I've been in this business for a few years now. In my experience, a girl like Rose isn't what you'd call truly wealthy. She's just playing around with her parents' allowance. See, she must have run out of cash since she hasn't been back. As he spoke, Jason exhaled a cloud of smoke, his handsome face showing a hint of weariness. I didn't tell him anything about Rose's late-night calls. She clearly wasn't out of money. She'd been calling me every single morning to sing under Mount Fuji. 2,000 before I started, and another 3,000 when she woke up. It sounds like easy money, but it was grueling. I'd pulled several all-nighters in a row, and I don't know how I was still functioning. Sometimes when I was about to nod off, I'd pinch my own thigh hard. I had no choice. It was a rare opportunity to make good money, and I had to take it. A month later, I sent a large sum of money to my mom. "How is Sis doing?" I asked. "Oh," Mom sighed, a familiar, weary sound. "Not great. The doctor says she needs to switch to an imported medication, and that's going to cost a lot more." That meant I had to work even harder. I started taking on outside gigs, accompanying clients to parties and events for extra cash. At night, I had my regular singing shift at the Oasis. And in the early morning, I still had to sing Rose to sleep. After 2 weeks of this, I'd saved up a good amount, but I was running on fumes. I was so tired that I'd start dozing off any time I had a spare moment. That night, a new client came to the Oasis. She was very generous, calling over several of us hosts to drink and sing with her. "I'll give you $888 for every drink you finish," she announced. The moment I heard that, all my exhaustion vanished. Me and a few of the other guys started grabbing drinks like a pack of starving wolves. The next thing I knew, I had drunk myself into a blackout. When I finally woke up, it was almost noon. Oh no, the song. I shot up in bed. I opened my iMessage and saw a flood of texts from Rose, sent between midnight and morning, along with more than a dozen missed calls. I quickly texted her back. "I'm so sorry, Miss Scott. I got blackout drunk last night and passed out. I didn't mean to ghost you." A long time passed before she replied. "How much did they have to tip you to get that drunk?" I frowned. It felt like there was an accusation in her question. I replied cautiously, "It's just part of the job, you know," with a laughing crying emoji. She pressed further. "Why are you in this line of work?" I texted back, "I need the money. It's a living, nothing to be ashamed of. It is shameful, and it's degrading." She sounded furious, or maybe she was just mocking me. I didn't know what to say, so I just sent a polite smile emoji to end the conversation. To my surprise, she called me again just after midnight. She apologized right away. "I am sorry. I couldn't sleep at all last night, so I was cranky today. I said some awful things. Please don't take it personally." I was a little surprised. In my line of work, you get used to being looked down on by rich girls like her. "It's fine," I told her. "You weren't wrong. I'm only doing this because I have to. By the way, I've been meaning to ask, why do you love that Under Mount Fuji song so much?" She was quiet for a moment before answering. "Your voice sounds a lot like my father's. When I was a little girl and couldn't sleep, he used to sing that song to me." "Oh, I see. So that song was her lullaby." It seems she had trouble sleeping every night and needed it to finally drift off. I guess that's a rich person problem I'll never understand. I was so sleep-deprived, I would have killed for the chance to sleep for 3 days straight. But she laughed. "You don't think I have a father complex or something, do you?" I was confused. That hadn't even crossed my mind. "Don't worry, I'm not picturing you as my dad. I just haven't seen him in a very long time. So your voice reminds me of him. Where is he now?" "I don't know. He moved out of the country and changed his number. I can't find him anymore." Her tone was flat, but I could feel the sadness underneath. I couldn't help but think of my own sister. She was only 18, around the same age as Rose. She was a great student and should have had a bright future ahead of her. But then, right at the start of her senior year of high school, she suddenly collapsed. The hospital diagnosed her with leukemia. At the time, I was in college studying for my grad school entrance exams. When I found out she was sick, I was frantic. I couldn't focus on studying at all. All I could think about was how to get money. I tried some part-time jobs, but they were too slow, only bringing in $1,000 or $2,000 a month. I needed to make a lot of money, fast, so I started at the Oasis. Soon after, I dropped out of college. After working for 2 months, I was able to send a good amount of money home. My parents asked where the money came from, and I just vaguely told them I was singing part-time. All I cared about was saving my sister's life. Nothing else mattered. For over half a year, I lived like a money-making machine. But through my conversations with Rose, I felt some of the numbness in my heart begin to thaw. After Rose finished her story about her father, we both fell silent. After a moment, she suddenly asked, "Are you free for lunch tomorrow? I'd like to take you out." I felt a jolt of excitement. She was actually asking me out. But I quickly composed myself and said, "Booking me for lunch or an event requires a fee." That's nothing. I've got plenty of money, she said dismissively. For our meeting, I intentionally dressed down in a t-shirt and jeans, the way I used to back in college. I didn't want to look too flashy, which would just remind her of my job at the Oasis. We agreed to meet in the center of Bayfront Park. She was already there when I arrived, sitting on the edge of a planter and looking at her phone. Her slender figure and stylish clothes made her stand out from the crowd. Rose, sorry to keep you waiting. Don't worry, I just got here. As she spoke, she naturally took my hand and started pulling me through the crowd. I looked down at her back as she led the way, and I couldn't help but think of my sister. She used to love holding my hand and pulling me along just like that when we were kids. As she got older, she became too shy for that, aware of the difference between us. Then I went off to college in another state, and I saw her less and less. That little rascal used to always push me to get a girlfriend, telling me she had to be prettier than her or she wouldn't approve. Looking at Rose, I couldn't help but wonder if she were my girlfriend, my sister would definitely approve. Whoa, hold on. Make Miller, what are you thinking? This is a job. You're here to make money, and Rose is your client. Don't get any stupid ideas. During lunch, Rose was in a great mood, telling me all sorts of stories. I was happy just to listen. But then, her tone suddenly shifted. Mate, can I ask you something? Why won't Jason ever give me a chance? Has he said anything to you? I froze. Just like that, my good mood evaporated. So, she was still hung up on Jason. I felt a strange flicker of annoyance and told her bluntly, we have a super VIP client at the club, a businesswoman named Mrs. Thompson. If you had her kind of money, you could have Jason. After I said that, Rose just gave a resigned smile. I had been enjoying our lunch at first, but after that, the whole thing felt pointless. After we parted ways, I went home for a nap, then showered and got ready for my shift at the Oasis. At 10 that night, Rose suddenly showed up at the club. Unfortunately for her, Jason was out with Mrs. Thompson and wasn't working. But then Rose said, I'm here for you tonight. I was a little surprised, but at this point, she was a familiar face and a good tipper, so it was fine. The only frustrating part was that she once again made me sing Under Mount Fuji on a loop. I had been singing that song from midnight to dawn every single day. I was sick of it. I couldn't believe she came all the way here just to make me sing it more. I sang it again and again, and she drank glass after glass. At some point, she laid her head in my lap. I looked down at her face and saw the glistening track of a tear illuminated by the flashing lights of the private room. She had been crying, and she had cried herself to sleep. After that night, Rose never called me in the early hours for a song again. I felt a little disappointed. After all this time, I had gotten used to the routine, and without her requests, my income plummeted by $5,000 a day. That night in the club, with her sleeping in my lap, turned out to be the last time we'd interact for a while. I didn't see her again for a month. When she finally came back to the Oasis one night, I greeted her excitedly, but she just gave me a dismissive humph and acted very distant. She requested Jason, and the two of them stayed in their private room until closing time. After my shift, my manager excitedly told me that Rose had spent over $100,000 on Jason that night. As I left the Oasis, I saw Rose and Jason outside. They were wrapped in a sweet embrace. The sight made me uncomfortable, so I just walked past them. Rose noticed me and looked my way, but I pretended I hadn't seen them. The next evening, I was in the break room changing when Jason walked in. He seemed to be in a good mood and actually started a conversation. You know, Rose is actually a pretty great person. I smiled. Better than your Mrs. Thompson? Ah, Jason sighed. Mrs. Thompson is great, but let's be real, there's the age difference. We're never getting married. At best, I'm with her for a few years until she gets bored and moves on. I pressed him. So, you decided to go with the younger model, Rose? Yeah, Mrs. Thompson can't give me a real future, but Rose can. I'm not a kid like you, Make. I'm getting older. I have to think about what's next. Jason was clear-headed. He always made the choice that benefited him the most. For the next several days, Rose came to the Oasis constantly to see Jason. I watched them, a sour feeling always in my gut. But since she had chosen Jason, I had to do my best to forget her. I quickly threw myself back into my work. Because I was channeling some of my feelings, I started putting more emotion into my songs, and my singing actually improved. I started getting more and more clients who requested me. One of them was Diana Bell, the wealthy woman who had offered $888 a drink. She was only in her early 30s and had a certain charm, but most importantly, she was an incredibly generous tipper, which made her popular with all the staff. Diana said she liked that I drank like I had a death wish and sang with real feeling. She said my company made her happy. Her tips were amazing, but she loved to get me drunk. For the last few nights, she had requested me exclusively, and each time I drank so much I had to run to the bathroom to throw up multiple times. I felt awful, but seeing the payment notifications on my phone, I gritted my teeth and pushed through. Make Miller, I told myself, you're here to make money, so stop whining. I left work that night feeling completely dizzy. As I stumbled out of the Oasis, I nearly fell on the sidewalk, but Rose caught me, grabbing my arm to steady me. Make, why are you so drunk? Are you okay? Thanks, I'm fine. Let me give you a ride home. No, it's okay. I've already called the car. Don't be stubborn. You're in no condition to be alone. I'm worried. I was getting annoyed. Bolstered by the alcohol, I pulled my arm away from her. Miss Scott, you're Jason's client. We should keep our distance, okay? Just then my ride arrived. I ignored Rose and got into the car. The next night, Diana got me drunk all over again. Once again, I felt the urge to throw up and stumbled toward the restroom, bumping hard into someone on the way. Sure, I started to apologize, but the person slapped me across the face. The shock sobered me up instantly. I looked up and saw it was Jason. What the hell? Don't you have eyes? He snarled, his face twisted with rage. I was stunned. We were co-workers. We got along fine. Why would he slap me for an accidental bump? You like playing innocent, huh? He sneered, jabbing a finger at my face. Someone told me you were all over Rose at the entrance last night. I tried to explain, but he cut me off. I just went through her iMessage while she was drunk. I saw all those hours-long calls in the middle of the night. I saw that she took you out. Well played, Make Miller. I thought you were some naive kid, but you're a real snake, aren't you? Do you understand the rules here? You try to poach my client, and I'll have the manager throw you out on the street. You hear me? I felt sick and my head was spinning. I couldn't even form a coherent sentence to defend myself. I didn't dare fight back. He was the top host of the club. The owner and the manager would always take his side. Cat got your tongue? He taunted, slapping me again. Looks like you had fun drinking. Let me help you sober up and teach you how things work around here. He raised his hand to hit me again, but a woman's voice cut through the air. Stop. It was Rose. Jason, what is going on? Why are you hitting Make? She asked, frowning with displeasure. Rose, you have a nerve to ask me that? Jason shot back, turning away in anger. You tell me you love me, but then you're sneaking around with him. What is that about? I have nothing to do with him. I just paid him to sing for me. That's all, Rose said coolly. Then why were you on the phone with him all night? Jason demanded. Rose explained. That was before you accepted me. I couldn't sleep, so I found a substitute to sing for me. I was much more sober now, and her words hit me with disbelief. All those nights I sang for her, all those conversations we had, and I was just a substitute? Of course, I had no right to complain. Rose had paid me very well for my time, but for some reason, her words still left a bitter taste in my mouth. I looked at Rose, but she avoided my eyes, grabbing Jason's arm to pull him away. Fine, if that's the case, then delete his contact. Right now. In front of me, Jason demanded, his voice hard as steel. Rose froze for a second, then tried to placate him with a smile. Come on, Jason, don't be like this. Let's just go back to the room, okay? No, you have to delete him right now. It's him or me. You have to choose. Jason had given his ultimatum. His tone was so aggressive. I'd never seen another host dare to speak to a client that way. He was the perfect example of someone drunk on their own power. Rose had no choice but to take out her phone and delete my contact. Wow, she really did whatever Jason told her to do. I felt an unexpected pang of hurt. Just then, Diana came over. She looked annoyed. I had been gone too long, and now she found me getting pushed around, which made her look bad. So she stepped in and said a few words on my behalf. Jason had gotten what he wanted and let off some steam, and he didn't want to get on Diana's bad side, so he dropped it. I splashed some water on my face, and Diana helped me back to our room. She handed me a wipe from her purse. That Rose Scott, you should stay far away from her. She's nothing but trouble. Yeah, I nodded. Thanks, Diana. I'm with you tonight. She has nothing to do with me. Ha ha. Diana's silvery laugh echoed in the room. My dear Make, since you put it that way, why don't you quit this place and just be with me? What? I stared at her wide-eyed. Diana continued. I'll get you an apartment, give you $60,000 a month in spending money, and you'll only have to be with me. How does that sound? I could only manage a week, bitter smile. $60,000 a month. It would be a lie to say I wasn't tempted. But singing and drinking with clients was my limit. Going any further was something else entirely. I raised my glass. Diana, thank you for sticking up for me back there. This is for you. I downed the drink in one go, a silent way of turning down her offer. When I got home that night, my head was spinning, but I couldn't fall asleep. She had deleted me. She wouldn't be calling me in the middle of the night for songs anymore. A strange wave of sadness washed over me. The last time I'd felt this sad was the night I found out about my sister's leukemia. Since then, my life had been a numb cycle of making money and drinking with no room for any other emotions. But now that feeling was back. The next evening, I heard from my manager that Jason had quit. He was out of the game. He had Rose, wealthy, and devoted, his perfect safe harbor. Jason had been decisive, not only quitting the Oasis, but also cutting all ties with Mrs. Thompson. It looked like he was putting all his eggs in the Rose Scott basket. Mrs. Thompson was furious. She came to the Oasis and caused a huge scene, screaming at our owner and the manager. The owner was so angry he was talking about hiring someone to take care of Rose. I was a little worried, so I mentioned it to Diana. Diana just laughed contemptuously. Don't worry about it. They can't touch Rose Scott. The real drama is just getting started. Her comment made me curious about Rose's background, but I didn't ask. As far as I was concerned, she was part of my past now, and I never wanted to sing Under Mount Fuji again. I was sick to death of that song. In the days that followed, I cared about only two things: my sister's health and making money. Diana tried a few more times to convince me to leave with her, but I politely declined each time. But reality doesn't always give you a choice. One day my mom called. "Make, your sister's taken a turn for the worse. She needs a bone marrow transplant as soon as possible. The doctors say she only has 3 months without it." The words hit me like a bolt of lightning. Why? Why couldn't fate have given me just a little more time? The marrow was ready. I was a perfect match for my sister, but we still hadn't raised enough money. The cost of the transplant was easily $400,000 or $500,000, and that didn't even include the potential costs of infection, hemorrhaging, or rejection after the surgery. I did the math. We were short at least $250,000. To be safe, we really needed $300,000. I had originally planned to work myself to the bone at the Oasis for a year, saving every penny, and that should have been enough. But now her condition had worsened, and I was out of time. How was I supposed to earn that much money in just 2 or 3 months? My only big paydays were when Diana came in, and even then, some nights were slow. After hanging up, I grabbed my hair with both hands, repeating over and over, "Money. I need money. I need to get money right now." Just then, my phone rang. It was Diana. "My dear Make, it's my birthday today. Can you spend the evening with me?" I wasn't in the mood. "Happy birthday, Diana." "Oh, are you not feeling well, Make? You don't sound very happy." I need money." "Oh, is that all? I got plenty of that." Hearing her words, my eyes lit up. That's right. Diana had money. Should I take it? Did I even have a choice? I remembered what my manager told me when I first started at the Oasis. Trade your youth for your future. Now, I had to trade myself for my sister's future. That evening, I asked my manager for the night off and went to meet Diana. She had booked a room at a top luxury hotel. Her intentions were obvious. Over dinner at the hotel restaurant, Diana and I began to negotiate terms. Based on her previous offer, she would give me $60,000 a month. I would agree to be with her for 1 year, and we could decide whether to continue after that. "Diana, I need the money urgently. I need you to pay for the first 6 months up front. Is that possible?" Diana laughed. "Well now, my dear Make, you certainly don't ask for small favors, do you? Hundreds of thousands just like that. It's for my family's surgery, and also," I hesitated, "I'm a virgin." As soon as the words left my mouth, I felt my face and ears flush hot with shame. I had thrown away the last of my dignity. Diana stared at me, dumbfounded. "No way. Make, are you really?" "It's true," I said desperately. "You'll see. If my sister's illness wasn't so urgent, I would never." Diana's eyes suddenly grew intense. She abandoned her dinner and pulled me straight upstairs to the hotel room. You can imagine what happened next. The next morning, I woke up to find Diana lying on my chest. She was already awake, just quietly looking at me. "You're awake? Check your phone." I was still groggy, but I managed to grab my phone. I saw a notification for a transfer of $360,000. Diana then did something on her phone, and I got another text. 100,000 more. "Diana, this is... I like you, and I feel for you. Think of it as an extra tip. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. From now on, you could just call me Diana." "Okay, good boy." Diana smiled and pinched my cheek, then leaned in and kissed me. "Make, my love, I want you to go to the Oasis tonight and quit. And you need to delete all of your other clients from your phone. If you don't, there will be consequences." She was smiling, but her tone was unmistakably a threat. "Okay," I agreed. I had no other choice. "And especially," Diana added, her voice serious, "you are to have no contact with that Rose Scott. Do you understand?" "Yes. We lost contact a while ago. Don't worry. She is Jason now." "Good. Let's not talk about her anymore," Diana said, her smile returning. "My sweet Make, you must be exhausted from last night. Get up. I'm going to take you out for a good meal to get your strength back." That evening, I went to my manager to put in my resignation. He didn't give me a hard time, but he did seem disappointed. "Ah, you were just starting to hit your stride, really making a name for yourself. Why the sudden decision to quit? After Jason left, I was planning on making you our new top host." I didn't want to tell him about Diana or my sister, so I just said I was going back to college. The manager nodded approvingly. That's great. If you have the chance to get an education, you should take it. This line of work only lasts as long as you're you. By the way, did you hear what happened with Jason? Jason? Didn't he leave with Rose? I asked, confused. There's more to the story, my manager said, and began to explain. It turned out that less than 2 months after he got out of the game, Rose dumped him. Apparently, he took it so hard that he fell into a deep depression and had to start seeing a therapist. He'd been in this business for years and was a savvy operator. I thought he'd be tougher than that. I was curious what could have possibly happened to push him over the edge like that. And I could understand Rose. She had spent so much time and money to win Jason over, only to dump him 2 months later. The whims of a rich, capricious woman were impossible to fathom. I moved into the luxury apartment Diana rented for me. The place was incredible, and I was living in comfort. Diana usually only came over 2 or 3 times a week, leaving me with a lot of free time. With no more late nights or heavy drinking, I started to get back into a healthy routine. I was about to donate bone marrow to my sister, so I needed to be in the best possible shape. I started going to bed early and waking up early, and I even started working out again. One evening, Diana took me to a cocktail party. I wore a designer suit with Diana on my arm as we walked into the grand ballroom. The room was filled with Miami's high society, and the guest of honor, the center of attention, was none other than the Oasis's former super VIP client, Jason's original patron, Mrs. Thompson. It was her party. Soon, the party officially began, and Mrs. Thompson took the stage to give a speech. She started by thanking her guests for coming, then gave an emotional retrospective of her decades-long business career. Finally, she announced solemnly, "And now, I would like to introduce you all to the new head of the Thompson Corporation, my successor, my beloved daughter, Rose Thompson." As the room erupted in applause, a young woman in a stunning blue gown and flawless makeup walked onto the stage. When I saw her, my jaw dropped. It was Rose Scott. The moment she spoke, I was certain. Her voice was identical. What was going on? Rose Scott was Rose Thompson? She was Mrs. Thompson's daughter? Diana leaned in and whispered playfully in my ear. "Well, my dear Make?" Surprised? Shocked? What the hell? I needed a minute to process this. So, Jason was originally Mrs. Thompson's boy toy. Rose was Mrs. Thompson's daughter. Then Rose poached Jason, which made Mrs. Thompson so angry, she stormed into the Oasis. Then Rose dumped Jason. And now, here were mother and daughter, looking as close as could be. Did that mean? I couldn't wrap my head around it. I would never understand the way rich people think. But I finally understood why Jason had a breakdown. Who could possibly handle a situation like that? Later, I went to use the restroom. When I came out, I saw Rose leaning against the wall in the hallway, a lonely expression on her face. When she saw me, her sharp gaze snapped to mine. "You're with that woman, Diana Bell?" I nodded. "Yes. Do you have any idea how degrading it is? I finished for her. I needed the money. And Diana is single. I'm not breaking up a family or ruining her career." "Oof," she snorted. "I guess that makes you slightly better than someone like Jason." I shot back with a cold laugh. "Someone like Jason? Weren't you the one who was madly in love with him? How much money did you have to throw at him to finally get him?" "Ah, that's a laugh. Me like someone like him? Let's be honest. People like you will do anything for money. You have no shame. It's disgusting." Her words were like a slap in the face. I had nothing to say to her, so I just turned to walk away. But she ran after me and grabbed my arm. I turned back. "What do you want?" She bit her lip, staring at me, her eyes a storm of conflicting emotions: sadness, anger, pain, and helplessness. For some reason, looking into her eyes, I felt my own heart ache with a mix of feelings. "Make my love." Just as we stood there frozen, Diana appeared. "What's going on here?" "Miss Thompson, has my boyfriend done something to offend you?" At the sight of Diana, Rose had no choice but to let go of my arm. "Make, apologize to Miss Thompson," Diana said to me. I was stunned. For what? She was the one who had come after me for no reason. Why should I be the one to apologize? I felt a surge of anger and, ignoring Diana, refused to apologize. I just set my jaw and stared at the wall, stubborn as a mule. The atmosphere became incredibly awkward. Finally, it was Rose who broke the silence. "I'm sorry," she said. "You are my guests. I've been a poor hostess." With that, she glanced at me, then at Diana, and walked away, her jaw tight. When we got back to our place, Diana excitedly threw herself at me, kissing me passionately. "Make, my love, you were amazing back there. I love it so much," she exclaimed. I held her and asked, "How is Rose Mrs. Thompson's daughter?" "It's unbelievable. Hee hee, my dear Make. Do you want to hear their family story?" Diana said with a mysterious smile. And so, from Diana, I learned the story of the Thompson women. Rose was indeed Mrs. Thompson's biological daughter. Mrs. Thompson's ex-husband's last name was Scott. Years ago, when Mrs. Thompson was determined to build her business empire, their different life goals caused them to drift apart. Because she was so busy, their daughter stayed with her father back in their hometown. After Mrs. Thompson became successful, she divorced her husband. She never remarried, but she certainly didn't live a lonely life. She was never short of male companions. When Rose was 15, Mrs. Thompson suddenly decided she wanted her daughter back and went to get her. Rose's father, wanting his daughter to have a life of financial security, agreed to let her go live with her mother. But Rose's relationship with her mother was strained. Even though her last name was legally changed to Thompson, she always introduced herself to others as Rose Scott. It was clear she resented her mother. Mrs. Thompson knew she had wronged her daughter, so she never pushed back, choosing instead to spoil her. Since she never remarried or had any other children, her massive fortune had to go to Rose. A year ago, Mrs. Thompson had taken a liking to Jason and used her wealth to make him hers. Then, a few months ago, Rose began to aggressively pursue Jason, eventually using her youth and charm to steal him away. When her mother found out, she was so furious she nearly passed out. In the end, though, Mrs. Thompson couldn't stay mad at her. After all, with her money and status, finding another man was easy, but she only had one daughter. She was getting older and needed to start grooming Rose to take over the company. After getting her revenge on her mother, the rebellious daughter seemed to feel better, and the two of them reconciled. And that was why Mrs. Thompson threw the party, to formally introduce her successor to the world. After hearing Diana's story, I felt like I understood Rose a lot better. I understood why she missed her father so much, and I finally understood the logic behind her actions. She never actually liked Jason. Going after him was just a way to hurt her mother, to get back at her. No wonder she had said what she did. Me, like someone like him? Let's be honest, people like you will do anything for money. You have no shame. It's disgusting. In her eyes, I was just the same. A month later, my sister's surgery could no longer be postponed, so I asked Diana for some time off. She agreed without hesitation. If you need more money or anything else, just let me know, she said. Thank you, Diana. Of course. I'll be waiting for you to come back. She gave me a hug. In that moment, I felt a genuine warmth from her, even though I knew our relationship was just a transaction, not love. She wasn't afraid I would take her money and run. That trust alone meant a lot to me. It's not easy to find that kind of trust between people these days. I took a bus back to my hometown and went straight to the hospital to see my sister. She looked so frail, she was thin beyond recognition. Her face was pale, and her jaw was swollen. She was so weak, she could only lie in her bed. My parents had so much more gray hair. They looked like they had aged 10 years in the last 6 months. And me, I might have looked fine on the outside, but I felt corrupted on the inside. One illness had taken our once happy family and twisted it into this. That night, I told my parents to go home and rest while I stayed with my sister. While scrolling through my phone, I saw a new friend request on iMessage. It was Rose, or I guess Miss Thompson now. The message said she wanted to hear me sing. I glanced at the time. It was exactly 3 in the morning. She must be having trouble sleeping again. But I rejected the request. I couldn't sing for her anymore. Diana had forbidden me from contacting her, and honestly, I didn't want to. I locked my phone, set it aside, and stared out the window. But in my head, the melody began to play on its own. I couldn't stop myself from humming the words softly. We each only have 2 hands. An embrace can't grant you possession. To truly have something, you must first accept its loss. We wandered down a snow-covered road. Why cry when things are good? Who can claim Mount Fuji for themselves just by loving it? Why not pretend this sorrow is a fiction you've created? You can't find it in a test tube to stain your eyes. The past hardens like a stone. Just let it go and walk away. I am nothing special. Take one walk around the block, and I will vanish in a thin air. It was a shame. We could never go back to those days of singing from midnight until dawn. I must have drifted off to sleep. I didn't wake up until I heard my sister's voice calling my name. I shot awake. What is it? Are you in pain? No. Imukai. Brother, I heard you singing last night. It was beautiful. Oh, did I wake you? No. I do nothing but lie here all day. I get plenty of sleep. Brother, can you stay a little longer this time? To keep me company? Of course. I'll stay with you. After a few days of preparation, I found myself lying on an operating table. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. The transplant was a success. My sister's life was saved. The moment I heard the news, I let out a huge sigh of relief. Everything I had done, everything I had sacrificed, it was all worth it. The weeks flew by. Once I was sure my sister's recovery was on track, I knew it was time to go. I had to go back and fulfill my contract with Diana. After the marrow extraction, my body ached and I felt significantly weaker. But I had a contract with Diana, and I had already taken her money. I had to see it through. Besides, she had trusted me. I couldn't betray that. If it hadn't been for her, I never would have gotten the money for my sister's surgery in time. When it was time for me to leave, my parents cried and told me, "Go back and focus on your studies. You don't have to kill yourself working anymore. If your sister needs more money, we'll figure something out." "Mom, Dad, I will. Don't worry. I'm her big brother. It was my duty to help her." When I got back to Diana's apartment, I was still not feeling well. My immune system was weak, and I came down with a bad flu that knocked me out for over 2 weeks. Diana couldn't help but tease me. "I'm paying you $60,000 a month, and you take a month off for vacation, then another 2 weeks for sick leave. I'm getting a raw deal here." I laughed awkwardly. "How about this? I'll give you a 20% discount on the next 6 months. Get out of here. Do I look like I'm short on cash?" "My dear Make, you just focus on getting better. I need you healthy so we can have some fun," she said, pinching my cheek. Diana started making me soups and feeding me all sorts of supplements, and slowly my strength returned. After that, Diana's business suddenly got very busy. We spent less time together at the apartment and more time out at business dinners and events. At these dinners, I often had to drink on her behalf. For some reason, she seemed to enjoy watching people force drinks on me. The sicker I got, the more amused she seemed. I couldn't say no. I was taking her money, after all. What I didn't expect was that I would run into Rose at one of these events. She seemed to have fully taken over her mother's role, now dressed in tailored pantsuits and heels. She carried herself with a calm, professional air, like a true CEO, a world away from the girl I once knew. That night, with Rose in attendance, Diana seemed particularly energized. She not only made me drink for her, but she also kept pushing me to make toasts to all the other guests. Of course, that included a toast to Rose, the new head of the Thompson Corporation. "Miss Thompson, to you," I said down in my glass. "Please, drink as you wish." I smiled at her as I finished my drink. "Make, you should slow down," she said. Then she turned to Diana. "Diana, why are you making him drink so much?" Diana just sneered. "Because I want to. He's mine, and he'll drink if I tell him to." I could feel the tension crackling between them. I had no choice but to keep drinking until I eventually blacked out. When I woke up the next morning, Diana was sitting at the edge of the bed, smoking a thin cigarette. That rookie Rose Thompson may have stolen some of my business, but I stole the boy she loves." "Who's the boy she loves?" I asked, stretching. She looked at me and smiled. "Who else could it be?" After Rose took over her mother's company, her business rivalry with Diana grew more and more intense, and my life became more and more difficult. When Diana was stressed, she liked to take it out on me in creative ways. Afterwards, she would take pictures and send them to Rose. It was her way of playing mind games, of getting under Rose's skin. I didn't care what she did to me. After all, with the money she gave me, she had saved my sister's life. But then, she got pregnant. "Make, my love, do you want me to keep it?" she asked. I was stunned for a moment, but my mind quickly cleared. There was no love between us, and we had no future together. How could we bring a child into that? "Diana, our contract doesn't include having a baby." She teased me with a smile. "I can always pay you more to add that clause." "Diana, stop joking," I said, my voice serious. "You're not just thinking of doing this to get at Rose, are you?" Diana froze for a second, then laughed. "Oh, my dear Make, is that really how you see me?" So sordid. Since I didn't agree, she had no choice but to go to the clinic, and I went with her. But she didn't seem happy about it. A short time later, I got another friend request from Rose. The message read, "Leave Diana. Stop debasing yourself. If you need money, you can come to me." I ignored it and continued to honor my contract with Diana. I stayed with her until the full year was up, and then we ended our arrangement. She was leaving Miami. She had lost the business war with Rose and had to relocate to start over. Before she left, she asked me, "If Rose comes looking for you, will you go back to her?" I gave a bitter smile. I was never really with her in the first place. Besides, she won't come looking for me. I'm going back to college to finish my degree. My dear Make, you're so innocent. I'm really going to miss you. Maybe I'll come back and find you someday if I miss you too much. She pinched my cheek one last time. "Goodbye, Diana. I hope everything goes well for you there." She gave me one last look, then disappeared through the security gate. A few days later, I went back to my old college, only to find out that because my leave of absence had extended past a year without renewal, I had been automatically withdrawn. I could never go back. With no other options, I went back to work at the Oasis. It was the only way I knew how to trade my youth for a future. I would work as hard as I could while I was still young, to make sure the rest of my life wouldn't be a struggle. A year later, Rose came back to the club, and requested me. By then, I was a seasoned professional. The shy, awkward boy was gone, replaced by a man who could smile on command and provide perfect service without letting his personal feelings get in the way. Rose was more mature, too. She had the confident air of a powerful businesswoman, every bit the successor to the Thompson Empire. She drank with me easily, and the atmosphere was relaxed. After a few drinks, she said suddenly, "Make, sing a song for me." I knew exactly what she wanted to hear. I went to the console and selected Under Mount Fuji. The familiar melody began to play, and I started to sing. The rain that blocks the path is like the snow. Are you cold as you quietly weep? I've worn this jacket for you until it's frayed at the seams. A new job means nothing. Why do I still care? I chose this day, of all days, to drive you home. Forgive me for not bringing flowers. A wound needs time to scar. I'm only afraid when my heart's graveyard is covered in petals. If you swear you'll marry no one but me, we'll both end up as ash. A lifetime of waiting for a single day comes at a cost. Rose sat on the sofa, her legs crossed, listening with an unreadable expression. The little girl who had once cried herself to sleep in my lap was well and truly gone. When the song ended, she didn't ask me to play it again. "Make, I'm getting married next month." I froze for a second, then forced a smile. "Congratulations. He must be a great guy." She stared into my eyes for a long moment before speaking. "At my contact back. I'll send you your tip." I shook my head. "No need. You can just add it to your bill at the front desk." The light in her eyes seemed to dim. "You don't want to have any connection to me? Do you want to end up like your mother?" I asked in return. She stared at me, stunned and disbelieving. But she quickly recovered, said a polite goodbye, and walked out of the room with her head held high. After she was gone, I put on Under Mount Fuji one more time, just for myself. I sang it over and over again. After that night, Rose Scott never came back to the Oasis. I spent countless nights in that club, drinking countless glasses of wine and singing countless songs. But I never sang that one again.